Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. We are learning tonight new details surrounding a collision between the USS Billings and another ship at a pier in Montreal.
Tonight, the USS Billings is undergoing repairs, according to Navy officials. Video shows the ship with assistance of two tugs when the starboard side of the warship makes contact with the port side of a cargo ship that was docked at the pier. Witnesses say it somehow lost control after the lines were let go. After 2 years of construction, the USS Billings, a littoral combat ship, was delivered to the Navy in February.
The collision happened Friday, and the Navy is now conducting an investigation. Officials there say there's minor damage to the starboard bridge wing, but a full assessment of the damage is ongoing. So the ship will be temporarily docked in Montreal. Now, the ship was expected to reach Florida in July and be commissioned on August 3rd. The collision is not expected to impact those dates.
All right, turning to the weather, Bob, what started as a busy day across our region has definitely settled down, and that's a good thing.
Oh, good for the guys in the Weather Center, but we're starting to see some bigger storms starting to fire up towards the east of us now. So let me show you what's happening out there right now. Doppler radar shows you the line of showers that came out of Red Lodge and towards the Billings area. You heard maybe a couple of claps of thunder. That has moved on and no longer an issue for us. We're looking over there towards Bighorn County. That's the next county over. Got a couple of big cells there. We do have reports of nickel-size hail in some of those storms. So it's an interesting day. You still have another big cell over by Bozeman, but instead of coming to the Billings area, it looks like that guy is going to probably head up towards the Lewistown area. But you'll notice we still have basically a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock for much of central Montana. And strangely enough, that's where we had an increased risk of severe storms tonight. Billings right smack dab in the middle of it, but it looks like the storms for now have dried up a little bit for Billings and it's really not so bad here. But when you talk about large hail, all of that large hail comes in the yellow, that's placed in the yellow. That's generally comes from some other place. Yeah, I see. It's time to go. I know. Anyway, so we're still looking at big thunderstorms across places like Nebraska. That's where we're going to see the big honking baseball and golf ball size hail storms tonight, not back here in Montana. Back to you guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Bob.
And now as more rain makes its way into our region, some homeowners have their eye on the sky and their foundation.
Homes along Viewcrest Drive, which sits north of 6th Avenue, deal with the damage due to seepage from an irrigation canal. And people are asking us about that canal system and who oversees it.
Q2's Samantha Sullivan joins us now with some answers. Sammy?
Well, Russ and Jeanelle, many of the questions about the irrigation canal come from who oversees it and who is responsible for the maintenance. According to the city of Billings, the main ditches within the county are controlled and maintained through ditch easements and private companies. In the case of the homes on Viewcrest, the Billings Benchwater Association owns that section of canal and is therefore responsible for its maintenance. Now, that particular ditch runs from the Yellowstone River in Laurel all the way out to Shepherd. The city points to the individual companies for questions about repairs, other concerns, and even just access to that water. Now, as we told you yesterday, the Billings Benchwater Association did turn off that water on Friday and began maintenance on the ditch on Monday. An engineer surveyed the area and said they believe the hillside is stable despite the excess of groundwater, and the association is currently installing a layer of rubber-like sealant to the canal to help curb seepage. The association currently plans to be ready to turn that water back on by Monday.
All right, thanks so much, Sammy. A stolen vehicle turned four-car crash yesterday afternoon in Billings has police out looking for more stolen cars and potential suspects.
37-year-old Melvin Brown is charged with 5 felonies today, and the judge set bail at $20,000. Police say Brown was driving a stolen black Volvo down Broadwater Avenue just before 5 o'clock yesterday. When a police officer flashed his lights, Brown took off. 7 blocks later at 15th and Broadwater, police say he T-boned one car, crashed into 2 more vehicles before he stopped, jumped out, and fled on foot, but was quickly caught.
Tonight, Lieutenant Brandon Woolley tells Q2 that police are now investigating Brown's involvement in other stolen vehicles and connections to other potential suspects. They believe he and other suspects may be involved in more car thefts.
But Billings and Yellowstone County are both strong, but both have challenges.
That's the message coming from the Chamber of Commerce's State of the City County Luncheon today. Now, Mayor Bill Cole says the city has money for big projects, but we face a financial challenge with both the general and public safety funds. Yellowstone County Commissioner Dennis Pittman talked about the growing issues of drug abuse and mental illness. He says revitalizing and remodeling the jail has gone well, and the county expects to have the jail fully operating in about 2 months.
And although there are no investors in One Big Sky and a bill did not pass in the legislature, Pittman and Cole focused on the positives.
There's no doubt that we need the legislative tools out of Helena in order to make any downtown project like that successful, not just in Billings, but in other cities around Montana. So I'm hoping we'll take another swing at getting the 406 Impact District legislation passed. We came very, very close. It died on a tie vote. There's blue skies ahead for One Big Sky District.
The message of One Big Sky and the whole process is that Billings is a good place to do business. How that unfolds, whether it be at Metro Park or another plan, I think we have to come to the understanding that Billings is growing and needs to grow, and it has good ideas and we're welcoming businesses to come here.
Well, Mayor Cole says crime has increased, and Commissioner Pittman says it's important to look at treatment programs to help with drug and alcohol abuse programs.
Montana Governor Steve Bullock will not be on stage for round one of the Democratic presidential debates that kick off tonight, but he got plenty of face time today in Iowa.
A town hall featuring only Bullock was broadcast live in Des Moines. Bullock answered questions from Iowans on a number of issues, accusing President Trump of using immigration to divide us and saying the crisis should be treated as a humanitarian issue. He also talked about steps he would take to fight climate change and what he would do to make housing and college more affordable. Told the audience he's not in favor of forgiving student debt, something other Democrats have proposed.
Bullock also.
So as president, I would not only honor our commitment when it becomes Social Security, but we've got to figure out either from an additional revenue perspective or just the frugality in government to make sure that we can fund so that not only you can be assured that what you've paid into your lifetime you get, but so I can be assured of that for me as well.
And Bullock talking there about the importance of keeping Social Security there for the long haul. He said the most important thing on his agenda, if elected, would be to make sure that Washington works for us and getting rid of the corrupting influence of dark money in politics.
Well, the first 2020 candidate for state auditor officially got into the race today. Republican Troy Downing, a Big Sky businessman who ran last year for the U.S. Senate, says he's a political outsider and a businessman who wants to shake up the status quo. The office of state auditor is an open seat next year because incumbent Matt Rosendale is running for the U.S. House in 2020. Downing says he'd be a conservative watchdog for Montanans' tax dollars, but did not mention any proposals or plans for the job of auditor.
Another Republican has joined the 2020 race for Montana's open U.S. House seat, bringing the total to 3 now. Helena farmer and rancher Joe Dooling kicked off his campaign today. Dooling says he offers GOP voters someone who has a strong background in agriculture and somebody who won't abandon the seat once he gains it. The last 2 Montana congressmen, Ryan Zinke and Greg Gianforte, decided to leave the seat within 2 years of winning it. 2 Democrats are in the race for the lone House seat, Kathleen Williams of Bozeman and Tom Winter of Missoula.
After Mother Nature forced crews to back off construction and delayed its opening, the new portion of U.S. Highway 212-310 from Rockville to Laurel is open. The grand opening ceremony held today at Riverside Park in Laurel celebrates the 10 miles of new roadway. The Montana Department of Transportation says the road will help handle both increased traffic growth and reoccurring crashes along that stretch of highway. The development includes 2 new bridges over the railroad, improved lighting, and turn lanes.
New report shows that while visitation numbers to Montana flattened out in 2018 compared to 2017, dollars spent by non-residents took a significant jump. MTN's Russ Thomas takes a look at what's behind the economic boost.
According to the University of Montana Institute for Tourism and Recreation Research, out-of-state visitors were not shy about dumping money into the Montana economy in 2018.
So our numbers for the 2018 visitor season was up about 10.4%, up to $3.58 billion. So this represents the money spent by all kinds of non-resident visitors coming into the state.
Sage says this includes monies coming from recreation, vacations, those visiting family and friends, and spending on businesses. Glacier Country Tourism, which factors in all of western Montana, says the news is especially positive considering it was not an ideal summer tourist season in Glacier National Park.
Glacier Country received a 11% increase in expenditures over 2017 last year, which is especially good considering we had a smoke and fire season last year.
Other regions west of the divide benefited as well.
In southwest Montana, the travel region, they had $463 million of non-resident expenditures. So certainly in western Montana proper, there is a significant amount of economic boost.
The Glacier region alone, which encompasses all of northwest Montana, took in 34% of all non-resident spending, with the Yellowstone region taking in an additional 30%. Freed and Sage say this impressive increase in expenditure benefits are far-reaching.
When we look and talk about billions of dollars, that is all new money coming into our Main Street businesses.
Buying goods of some sort, whether it's retail goods at any of our local shops in downtown areas, made in Montana products, to the expenditures on outfitters and guides. The expenditure to have an experience, a real Montana experience.
Sage adds these numbers fluctuate year to year depending on the overall economy. So this is a trend that isn't necessarily going to continue, but it is certainly a positive for the current economy. In Missoula, Russ Thomas, MTN News.
The travel and tourism industry is second only to agriculture in Montana.
If you'd like to know more about what's happening around Montana, check out What's on Deck for the MTN statewide news at 9. I'm Andrea Lutz. A staple in Lincoln could be changing hands. We're talking about high country meats and that famous jerky. We've got that story. It's coming up tonight on the MTN 9 o'clock news on the CW. But first, still to come on tonight's 5:30 news, it's not a horror film, it's a historical book. Find out more about the town that ate itself and its ties to Montana.
And later in sports, we begin our summer golf series highlighting some of the best holes you may not know about on our side of Montana.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Green. This is the 5:30 news on Q2, Montana's news leader.